Hello everyone, it's Rendi here again, and rent is due. Therefore today I decided to make a video showcasing exactly how I got an Infernal Cape on a level 3 combat account, being the lowest level combat in the entire game. So unless you've been living under a rock the last few months or otherwise almost half a year, you've probably seen some Twitter posts or some Reddit posts from the 2007 Scape subreddit pop up stating that there was a level 3 Inferno Cape. And no, this was not the Wook's trick with the Ruin Light for the April Fool's joke that was performed, I believe, in April of 2019. That consisted of a trick that the Ruin Light team was in on with the Ruin Light client and just a plugin overlay feature of an entirely different cape. Instead, this time, these accounts you've seen throughout these subreddit posts and throughout Twitter were real and technically did have a level 3 Infernal Cape equipped. Now the reason these posts popped up over the course of so many different months and on so many different accounts was because myself and Mauler were trying to optimize the method to actually being able to use the Infernal Cape to its full potential and basically having full functionality with the Infernal Cape. I'll get into the specifics of what I mean later by full functionality with the Infernal Cape, but yes, technically this would be a level 3 with an Infernal Cape equipped, something I've wanted to achieve for years ever since the Infernal Cape came out, and which took us over 4 months of optimizing the method in order to use this Infernal Cape pretty much anywhere and in any situation, as a normal Infernal Cape should be used. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over the full process of how we improved our method of achieving a level 3 Infernal Cape over the course of about 4 months of testing, game time, and many years of knowledge behind our backs. Now throughout this video, I will be skipping over some of the very in-depth analysis of the terms and processes, and if you do want to fully understand all of the inner workings that went into this process, I do suggest you go actually watch the last 4 videos in chronological order, as I go very in-depth to all of these techniques, including definitions for things such as the hard actions, interface walks, and so much more. But first, do you know what pairs perfectly with a level 3 Inferno Cape? Shaving your balls. I've realized over the years of YouTube that most of us are men here, therefore we already share one thing in common. This tells me if we share one thing in common, we could share many others, such as the hobby of shaving your nuts. So if you do share this hobby with me, well maybe you should use the best tools available to you, being the perfect package kit from Manscaped.com. This kit includes the Lawnmower 4.0, which has very many new features. The first of this being the use of ceramic blades, which can be replaced and gives you an extremely close shave. Now that's skin-safe technology. Watch this. Do you have a computer? Good. You could dock this thing, and it has a 90-minute battery life. From that dock, you can use it right here at your desk, or you can come in here and get this. This shit's waterproof. It's even got adjustable blades, so you don't have to look like a porn star for once.
Oh yeah.
I trust this razor with my balls, and therefore my life. That's why I recommend you go to manscaped.com right now and use the link in the description below and use code Rendi to get 20% off on your next purchase. The journey we'll go through today for me personally started years ago. In August of 2018, I attempted to beat Adwam's 59 combat Infernal Cape record, as I've always tried to be the lowest combat at whatever I do. Although I got to Xzact several times in this feat under the 59 combat threshold, such as 56 combat, 57, and even 58, I could never defeat the record after months. My mechanical ability to not choke under immense pressure at Xzact and my shaky hands were probably the main problem. I eventually persevered a bit and got an Infernal Cape at around 61 combat, being the second lowest in the game in early 2019. And although 61 combat wasn't my goal, I realized my physical capabilities could only take me so far. This is because execution itself has always been a struggle for me. So ever since then, I've decided to always look for alternative means and entirely different routes to achieve what I want. Ones which are as well extremely untraditional. In early 2020, I found a paft and featured this in a video through the Ashihama update, which lasted for several weeks. A paft is a personalized area force teleport, which is a bug that allowed me to basically glitch into other people's instances, which normally was supposed to only comprise of one person. The Inferno area is an instance which only is supposed to allow for one person as well, being a solo challenge. So if I was able to manipulate this path, the thought was to bring multiple people into the Inferno along with my level 3 and let the main do most of the work on Xzact. I could possibly path into the final wave with the main logging into that wave to open up a new instance at the time the level 3 paths in. The problem with this plan at the time was that the Ashihama path I had found was only into a floor 3 instance, and the Inferno went up only from floor 0 to floor 1, meaning if I even managed to successfully time a path on the coordinates of the Inferno instance as I logged in on the main account into Xzact, it wouldn't even be through a valid means, and therefore the path would never register, becoming just another game message otherwise known as invalid teleport. As the bug got found and patched briefly before we were about to try these cutscenes, and therefore the hopes of a level 3 Inferno cape probably now will never exist yet again. Fast forward about a year though, throughout the early part of 2021, I had found those hard actions, and as you can see in my last few videos, attempted to once again path in many different ways. I explored the possibility of pathing in almost every cutscene and area of the game for months on end, and they all led to dead ends. And yes, even with these new overpowered bugs and mechanics at my disposal, pathing therefore was a no-go, and the only way for pathing in my honest opinion now is through a slip-up and future updated content by the developers themselves. Anyways, about a year and a half from my 2018 goals of completing the Inferno traditionally at under 59 combat, Xzact and even Adram himself had destroyed their own record many times over, and Xzact ended up getting the lowest cape in the game at only 40 combat. This feat from Xzact was honestly insane. I'll link it in the description below, and it only used some very minor bugs to overcome wave scouts without pillars, such as fake logs used to avoid nibbler damage on pillars and damage to the player, versus the old traditional way of scouting a wave. Not trying to be a suck up here, but honestly the sheer mechanical ability you witness from Xzact, in my honest opinion, is undefeated by any player in this game to date. Xzact and many other experienced capers in the community have stated before that they believe 39 combat will be the lowest combat possible to actually defeat Xzact. And well, I think they are 100% correct. But wait, didn't you just say you got an Infernal cape at level 3? So wouldn't you actually be the lowest level to defeat Xzact? Well, that's where you're wrong, buddy. And if you look in the item database, there's actually more than one Infernal cape coded into this game. And therefore, I'm going to be looking at getting this Infernal cape without ever stepping foot inside the Inferno itself. Confused yet? Well, don't be. The other Infernal cape I'm talking about comes from the Last Man Standing minigame. Although it doesn't require a defeat of Xzact and the Inferno KC, it still technically is an Inferno cape with identical stats, and one step at a time within this video, I will plan to complete an entire smuggle of this cape from LMS while being able to use it in as many other instances as the normal Infernal cape can be used in the game. The first step in our journey of smuggling this cape required, once again, Trouble Brewing interfaces from the Trouble Brewing lobby. Every minute you wait within this lobby, you gather one interface. Normally level 3s can't access Trouble Brewing, so I had to find a workaround for this at the time with that scry glitch from player-owned homes and a failsafe to Mostly Harmless. I've covered this many times in prior videos, and you can check those out if you're more interested in getting to Mostly Harmless through this route. As well, I would at first need Dragon Slayer up to a point for that forced teleport from Ned's cutscene I've mentioned in my last few videos. So for my beginning to even get the level 3 Infernal cape, this account had the most ridiculous requirements you would ever think of for a level 3. So the requirements for a level 3 Infernal cape at this time were a partially completed Dragon Slayer quest done with the help of a main account getting through Melzar's maze, and then the ability to get into Mostly Harmless via an entirely different bug to then get into Trouble Brewing for these stackable interfaces. I would also have to use skill level ups once again to create more interfaces on top of the Trouble Brewing interfaces once all of these had collapsed, because staying interfaced was originally required for LMS gear to not disappear. After preparing this level 3 by glitching my way into Mostly Harmless through a scry and getting some skills up to the nearly next level, I would then wait in Trouble Brewing for around 3 games, going in and out while gathering around 18 interfaces per game. I would then use a packet client to script interface walks with nulled red click actions as mentioned in prior videos. This would basically allow me to move without consuming the interfaces I had gathered within the Trouble Brewing lobby. While performing this massive route, I would have one guidance account which would allow for the follow interface walk script, nulling a red click between each walk and not consuming interfaces. As well, this secondary account would be used to code on the fly, While grabbing NPC IDs and object IDs, I would need to code into steps within my script that allowed for the level 3 to get through some red-click actions with a minimal amount of wasted interfaces from the Trouble Brewing lobby. I would also use once again the hard actions covered in prior videos to get through red-click actions consuming 0 to 2 interfaces per red-click based on the length of the action at hand. I would make my way then to Ned from the Dragon Slayer quest once gathering these interfaces, gather the Force Teleport from his cutscene, then level up some skills after gathering this Force Teleport through one-tick skilling actions like Herb Lore through identifying herbs, fletching through adding feathers to bolt tips, and crafting using a chisel on limestone bricks. These had to be one-tick skilling actions for level ups because you can only perform one-tick inventory actions behind interfaces, and I had around 50 of these interfaces pulled up at the time, which I still needed. I then made my way into a casual LMS game with friends and many alt accounts, and killed countless accounts until hopefully I would find an Infernal Cape within a chest or within a loot crate as a reward. This is because the Infernal Cape was not defaulted in Last Man Standing as normal gear. Sometimes this process would take upward of 3 games to gather the Infernal Cape, so I needed a lot of interfaces to enter and exit the game so many times through a death in the fog. After finally gathering the Infernal Cape on one account in one of these games, I would drop it over the level 3 and then pick it up. Then I would click through my many remaining interfaces to enact the Dragon Slayer Force Teleport I had queued behind them. I would then have scaling interfaces pop up on the boat to keep intact the Infernal Cape and LMS inventory, with about 3 total interfaces left from these skilling actions. But there was a problem. I was stuck on a boat with this Infernal Cape. I couldn't even show it to the world. I've mentioned this briefly before, but if I were to hard action across this gangplank, the cape would be removed, and there was no other teleports in my inventory from the Last Man Standing minigame that I could go out and use into the world. So we kept trying the same process over and over again, while attempting between the end dialogues to put a tele other between the spacebar dialogues of the chat. Let's just say this was very hard to pull off and frustrating because it was based on PID and the timing of the tele other with my spacebar between interfaces. And we had limited interfaces, being 2 left once we hit the boat. Also, even if I managed to hit the tele other correctly, well, I wouldn't have any more interfaces to actually keep my Inferno Cape on after this teleport. Also, I was not for sure this would even work, as a teleport while in this state likely just clears everything anyways, because maybe a teleport inside LMS was already coded to have a valid means of removing the items. So our only solution at this time was to look for other force teleports in the game, and ones that would specifically take us to the main area of the game without doors, planks, or stairs in the way. We wanted to flex this cape at the GE, not at this stupid boat, and that was meaning at the time even if it was still just interfaced. I first was told about a return force teleport within the Romeo and Juliet cutscene that could be gathered from an invalid leave of the cutscene. If done correctly, this could possibly put us straight up into Varrock. The problem is, unlike Ned's cutscene, most cutscenes don't have the tabs unlocked, so how would we teleport out of this Romeo cutscene in order to trigger the return force teleport behind interfaces? Well, I found a very odd solution. Joger potions inflict damage held behind interfaces, and you could use this with a Ring of Life effect to teleport out of cutscenes. This only works if you make the Joger potions from a Watchtower quest in one specific incorrect way. It doesn't even require the Watchtower quest to be completed in this way, where these things are actually used. That is by using ground bat bones on a Guam unfinished potion. Now, if you tried to do this any other incorrect way, for some reason it would require you needed to start the quest. And if you did this the correct way, well, the mistake of the potion wouldn't inflict the damage. So the plan was to use this bat bone into a Guam potion unfinished in between the interfaces of the Trouble Brewing minigame matches. This would mean I would go to the bank right outside after one match of interfaces, pull out the correct materials to incorrectly make a Joger potion behind the first set of interfaces. I would then gather more interfaces from another lobby wait game to have after the damage was to come into the queue, and be able to hold the return force teleport back from the Romeo cutscene. There was yet another problem here though that I found in my countless hours of testing and running this route. the damage from these Joker potions would disappear once you had teleported. So I could not teleport from Trouble Brewing over to Varrock and just talk to Romeo, or my Bat Bone damage would just disappear in the queue entirely from my player. So what did I need to do instead? I would need to make my way through the dangerous as fuck mostly harmless jungles while interfaced, then take a charter ship to Port Sarim, then interface walk all the way from Port Sarim to Varrock where Romeo remained. Why this was difficult? Well, for every hit you take from an NPC you lose 2 interfaces, and originally I only had around 16 after using my first lobby of interfaces, then going out of the lobby into that bank and using a Bat Bone, then going back into the lobby to get more interfaces behind the Bat Bone damage. I would also already be losing several more interfaces from hard actioning into the charter ship, exiting the gangplank, and then talking to Romeo, since all of these are red click actions. So with my original only 15 to 16 interfaces gathered from one match of Trouble Brewing in the lobby before my Bat Bone took effect, I would need to route my way to the charter ship. Therefore, I would need sophisticated armed guards to protect me from all of the swarms of NPCs, such as jungle horrors, along the way to the mostly harmless boat. This made me call upon the one and only Chesbra to barrage and help route me all the way to the charter ship with high magic accuracy. Chesbra.
Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, back, behind you, behind you. Behind you. Right there. Chesbra. Oh my god, it's... There's one coming. Chesbra.
He's coming.
Chesbra. There's another one up ahead. Barrage it. Alright, cool. There's another one. Another one. Okay.
Although several times we had failed and the Bat Bone damage triggered before even reaching Romeo, finally during one of our tests, we made it.
Port Sarim. Okay. We got this. Chesbra. 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 Chesbra.
So I would brew up Divine Potion to lower my HP all while behind interfaces, then wait for my HP to regenerate a bit to 6, where the Bat Bone would then hit a 5 on me previously queued, and my Ring of Life would activate once inside the Romeo cutscene. After this final successful attempt, I would arrive in Lumbridge with my Ring of Life teleport and that second set of interfaces from more Triple Rune games I had previously gone into after the banking of the Batbone potion, which was further holding the Romeo Force teleport back to be used later once inside of LMS. I would then teleport to LMS, level up a few skills, and complete the same process in a casual match, with alt accounts attempting to grab that level 3 Infernal cape.
Join.
I'm in. Send it.
Good.
Okay.
Goodbye, Filth. Okay.
Fuck.
Now.
Okay.
Alright, right click. Okay, good, it's just us. Fuck, how many accounts do we have, man?
12.
You got an Infernal cape?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm still gonna move all the accounts that way just in case. Just fuck it up somehow.
Okay, we got it on. Oh wait, we don't have it on yet. We're about to have it on. Should I leave the glory on or no?
When I finally got this cape after a few games and released my interfaces to go back to the Romeo Return Force teleport in Varrock, I realized something weird had happened and it was entirely unplanned. This Romeo Return Force teleport was not even a real Force teleport at all like I was led to believe. It was just a return instance start. So instead of being placed in Varrock, I was just placed back outside the original LMS lobby where I entered from, and once again I was stuck behind barriers with no teleports in the Varrock's enclave. But at this point I had spent hours and hours perfecting this method, which I thought could be fixed at any time, so I just decided to say fuck it, and flex it for the time being inside the Varrock's enclave.
Someone saw it.
Nice vids, bro.
That's all he said.
Oh.
Yo,
what?
what?
The fuck?
I don't have rune lit. It real.
He's like, I don't have rune light, it's real.
There's a lot of people in now.
It's rune lit.
After this, on the same night, I tried repeating the process again and again, using Tele Other between my very few interfaces left after the Romeo Return Instance Force teleport.
1, 2, 3, go. I got one.
Ready?
Okay, is everyone ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, I got it.
Someone got one. Yeah.
Grabs on the clutch.
I theorized that the prayer activation that I couldn't actually use here would act as a stackable interface, since normal prayer activation technically still stacks behind a stall. But let's just say that didn't work, even though I managed to get a Tele Other up within these small 2 interface windows of skill level ups and a lucky chance at PID. At this point, I really thought there was no way to get a third set of interfaces up in my player queue after this Tele Other teleport. That is until I realized though, I can level up another skill remotely once I'm already force teleported outside of last man standing. I had this exact thought possibly with the Slayer skill, but unfortunately the Romeo Return Force teleport didn't work the following day, so I could not test it with this. Instead, I went back to Ned's cutscene and attempted to Tele Other with the last remaining skill interfaces. So I made my way back to Ned's cutscene, which still worked, and attempted to perform getting the last hit of damage on a goblin task with a 0 to slip the XP while the other account recoiled this goblin down after my return force teleport, since recoils on this alternate account don't technically count as the last hit of damage when the Slayer XP splits, instead counting as neutral damage and rewarding my level 3 still half the Slayer XP for killing this monster. I would ensure this goblin did not heal to full HP on my alt account, while then switching between recoils on and off, and then attempting to complete the rest of the Inferno smuggle process on other alt accounts, so that my level 3 could get this remoted Slayer XP drop after grabbing the Infernal Cape specifically and coming back onto the boat. I managed to do all of this, then smuggle out the Inferno with the remaining 2 skill interfaces up. I would then finish recoiling the goblin on my alt account to enact the last level up screen after a possible teleport from Tele Other. Somehow I managed to get a Lumbridge Tele Other on my Infernal account within these only 2 level up interfaces, which was very hard to do once again, and then after this Tele Other, teleport into Lumbridge. I should now be able to have the Slayer level up interface pop up after the Tele Other, allowing me to then interface walk this Infernal Cape to the GE. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case, and as I suspected, although everything went to plan, teleporting while holding the LMS gear behind interfaces counted as an invalid leave and wiped the account of this Infernal Cape once I made it all the way to Lumbridge after this entire process. Once again, we were back to the drawing board, and with time against our side. Jagex obviously knew our actions at this point, and it was a matter of time before other aspects of bugs we were using were patched as well. At least, that's what we thought. In hindsight, even after Jagex saw this account highly upvoted on Reddit, and after they patched the Romeo Force Teleport and looked into the actions of this account, most of the patches to things that were actually useful did not come till months later after this event, even after they were able to directly investigate the account's actions, as it was literally flexed on Reddit. They obviously, even with all the account information, couldn't even tell what they were looking at, as typical Jagex. And for about 4 total months after this account was initially looked into, the hard actions and interface walks used continued to exist, which were all used as core factors in the Infernal Cape smuggle process. These hard actions were only resolved once I tipped them off in May on how they were performed exactly to Jagex Tyron, so it's crazy to think they only fixed this very minuscule force teleport, being the Romeo and Juliet one, and all we had to do at this point was find another one, and there are many of these within the game. But once again, we needed to find a force teleport in the main game with no barriers in our way to route us all the way to the GE. After about 3 hours of contemplation of where we could look for our next force teleport, Chessbra was looking at Slayer music quest guides and suggested to me to go investigate one. And it was from an obscure cutscene in a quest which looked exactly like how Ned forced you out of his cutscene with a 0-tick clearance and no black fade in and fade out. This was the final cutscene from Eagle's Peak quest, where you catch a ferret. I tested this theory with bat bones and a ring of life on the spot, and sure enough, it had returned force teleport properties. So I needed to now, with all of these other fucked up requirements for a level 3, get some Hunter up as well for Eagle's Peak quest, and yet get halfway through this quest for yet another adventure and even more insane route. Once again, I would start at Trouble Brewing, gather a couple games of interfaces, then bank for a Batbone damage proc. I would then go back into Trouble Brewing lobby for about 2 more games. I would have the crew once again route me through the jungle, but this time to Catherby instead of Port Sarum. From Catherby, I would go all the way to the northwestern part of the map where the Eagle's Peak cutscene was. This was because once again I could not teleport with the damage in the queue, or it would disappear. It was a journey that took over 10 minutes of walking with interface scripts, but I would finally make it to the start of this cutscene.
Chessbra.
I then used my Batbone effect to queue up the force teleport with the Ring of Life, and I leveled up some skills from here. I then once again made my way to Last Man Standing to go into a casual match yet again, with many alts and attempts to grab another Infernal Cape with that second set of Trouble Brewing interfaces. After grabbing the cape, I then initiated the force teleport by exiting all of the interfaces and going back to the Eagle's Peak quest cutscene. I needed now, with my 2 whole skilling interfaces backing my account, to make my way all the way from Eagle's Peak area in the northwest to the Grand Exchange by walking, so I avoided NPCs once again with the help of my good friends, but also by taking the back way around the White Wolf Mountain where no wolves were. And unfortunately, this was like a 30-minute detour to go all the way from the northwestern part of Gielinor to the Grand Exchange.
Chessbra.
chest bra. Finally, after months of testing just to smuggle out an Infernal Cape and make it to the GE, I was there. And of course, this was with the most unconventional means and requirements. But now I could finally flex a level 3 with an Infernal Cape here, although I was naked. And therefore, I found this still unsatisfying. My fashionscape was lacking, and I had to be interfaced this whole time using literal scripts to move. It was just not the true level 3 Infernal Cape experience I had wanted. I wanted to be able to free walk this bad boy, have the possibility to even use it in combat while taking damage, and even log back in and out with it, still remaining on my account, like any other level 3 with an Infernal Cape. So there was one final step I would have to take to do just that. If you have not yet seen Defense Saga episode 1 and 2, a lot of this next section takes from concepts that were presented there, and I'll link those videos in the description below. I basically had found with Mauler a way to stall into a server update for over 6 hours, and then cut off the entire player queue, such as a prayer XP drop from the Priest Imperial quest, which never came into effect once this server update hit. This allowed for an endless amount of possibilities, but by the time I wanted to use this for something like an Infernal Cape smuggle on a level 3, to be free walkable and used like any other Infernal Cape, I would need to formulate entirely new ways to get stackable interfaces, force teleports, and stalls. This was because all of the force teleports I mentioned above, including Ned, Eagle's Peak, and Romeo, were all patched, as well as stackable interfaces from the Trouble Brewing lobby. Therefore, I had to do everything in a very specific order to line up correctly in my player queue, and find many alternatives. After searching for several more months for solutions to all of the concurrent patches which followed my Defense Saga journey, there was still one last workaround that theoretically should allow for me to grab an Infernal Cape on a level 3, free walk it, and then even log in and out with it. If you've already seen that last video in the Defense Saga series, you might already have witnessed this process in an extremely similar fashion. For this method, I gathered interfaces instead of using Trouble Brewing this time, by nearly finishing the feud quest with recoils on a level 3 on several different level 3 accounts. To prepare this entire process, I would get up to the last step of the feud quest, the last step of a monk's friend quest, and to the rock step of a dig site quest. As well, I would have several items or lamps in my inventory to level up with 1-tick use and 1-tick inventory use transportation methods to get from place to place. Once starting around 6 hours till update, I would then use hard actions to complete the feud quest hundreds of times over, allowing for hundreds if not thousands of interfaces to be added to my player queue from these new interfaces just being quest completion screens, taking about an hour of time to get these initial interfaces gathered. This hard action looping of quests only worked specifically for this quest because Ali Morrison had a dialogue at the end which prioritized over the quest completion screen while keeping the quest yellow in your quest journal, meaning I could wrap the reward screen itself, which was a low priority behind any other interface screen like Ali Morrison's shop screen. I would also get a nice 99 thieving from the gathering of these interfaces, and you can even see every time one of these interfaces was consumed on a hard action by witnessing XP drops within my route while going through red click objects. From here, I would make my way over to the dig site, where I would gather a one-time force teleport from lighting a tinderbox on the rock, which triggered another low priority command to put me into the new exploded version of the dig site tunnel. This was a low priority force teleport once again because after you light this rock on fire, there is an interface which stops you from automatically moving to the next spot, which is a chat interface telling me to run. This also means any other interface would be a higher priority than this force teleport as well, therefore making it technically a low priority force teleport, as I mentioned earlier. I would then level up a few skills for more interfaces that would come into play after the dig site force teleport back with the Infernal Cape. From here, I would then make my way to the Monk's Friend quest end, which I had already gotten up to the last step of the quest, then began wrapping several of the dance stalls that the monk gives you on a low priority basis, once again because this is held behind an interface from the monk's dialogue at the quest end, being a low priority. This also would allow for the quest XP to wrap between the dancing stalls of the monk. So here I would gather around 8 hours of dancing monk stalls with only about 2 hours of game time wrapping this dance as a quest completion. After this, I would level up yet again just in case after my gathered dance in the queue. From here, I made my way to LMS to acquire Infernal Capes through as many accounts as possible, once again by using alts to gather the capes from loot chests and keys. After I had the Infernal Cape finally equipped, I would then press log out, which ran through my entirety of the rest of the feud completions, trigger a bunch of 15,000 XP drops, then trigger the dig site force teleport back into the dig site dungeon, activating then my next skilling interfaces in the queue. From here, I would route my player to the corner of the dig site out of player sight for anyone else possibly completing this quest normally before the server update. On the slight chance that anyone else was completing this quest near a system update and they would see me randomly dancing here and question why the fuck a level 3 had an Infernal Cape on. My character would then start the 8-hour dancing stall in the queue, and soon after the servers would shut off from a system update. The servers would only run through about 4 out of the 8 hours of stalls, and therefore it would never get to the end of my player queue, which would have normally removed the Infernal Cape straight off my back.
Accounts.
So after the system update, I would log back in and there would be my cape. I could log out anywhere with it, log back in, go into combat, walk around, equip anything, and do anything a normal Infernal Cape could do, all while holding this at a level 3 combat, the lowest combat in the game. Now this was back between April and June, and at this time I decided to then make many more of these accounts before putting them in the public eye, over the course of many system updates and many weeks. Countless accounts, and which in fact many still exist to this day. Hell, if you were at the Falloder riots recently with 1.17's client update, you might have seen one of these accounts there. After making so many of these accounts on virtual machines that I was sure they would never all be tracked, I then finally could wear whatever I wanted with this Infernal Cape and flex it in true style at the GE, all while being only 3 combat and walking around freely.
Can someone give me some GPPLZZZ?
So sure, this account that did flex this for about 4 hours of GE time was banned, but it was worth the style points, and there were many more accounts that were to come from me and Mauler created over the last few months. If you think having an Infernal Cape at level 3 is the pinnacle of rare accounts, well in fact, you're wrong. We've added on top of this, and there are even more rare and valuable accounts that still exist today in this game that we had made besides this one just right here, most being some unique version of a level 3. And in the next video on this channel, who knows, I might showcase one of these, how it was built, and what I mean exactly by there are rarer accounts out there than just one with a level 3 Infernal Cape. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, give me a like as well as a subscription to this channel. Also, if you haven't noticed, most of my full-time projects are no longer going into this channel, and they are actually going into my side channel, being Rendi versus the world. That's my true passion. So if you like just good humor, or you liked my IRL videos in the past on this channel, or even my crossover RuneScape IRL videos and enjoy my type of humor, then go please subscribe to that channel. Check out the videos I have there. I'll be posting more and more on that channel as I have more time to do so. But like I said, only come to this channel if you really enjoy that type of content. Either way, I'll see you all again soon right here on this channel, because I do plan to have 2 uploads this next coming month. So I'll see you in just a couple of weeks. Catch you then.